The fork clattered against the porcelain plate like a gunshot in the still air of the dining room, shattering the fragile piece Willow had stitched together over years of careful silences. Harper's voice cut through next, steady but laced with the tremor of a dam finally cracking. "Mom, I'm gay. I've known for a while now, and I can't keep pretending anymore." Willow's heart seized, not from shock but from the echo of her own buried confession, one she'd swallowed whole decades ago in this very house, under the same flickering bulb that now cast long shadows across the oak table laden with pecan pie and unspoken regrets. Before Willow could summon words from the ache in her throat, the front door creaked open down the hall, and footsteps echoed soft but deliberate, like rain on kudzu leaves. Then she appeared, Lark Monroe, stepping into the room with the unhurried grace of someone who'd outrun ghosts but never quite escaped them, her coat still dusted with the chill of an October evening in 2025. Willow's breath caught, the world tilting as if the floorboards beneath her had given way to the red clay banks of the Washita River, where they'd first kissed under a canopy of live oaks, 27 years ago, in a summer that tasted of honeysuckle and forbidden promises. Willow stared, her hands frozen mid-air, the linen napkin she'd been twisting now limp in her lap. Lark's eyes, still that piercing green flecked with gold like the river at dawn, locked onto hers across the room. Time folded in on itself, the years between them compressing into a single suffocating breath. Harper twisted in her chair, her dark curls falling over one shoulder as she glanced between them, sensing the shift like a barometer dropping before a storm. Who are you?" Harper asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and the raw edge of vulnerability she'd just laid bare. Lark paused in the doorway, her leather satchel slung over one shoulder, the faint scent of pine and distant rain trailing her like a memory. She'd aged into her 40s with the quiet strength of river stone, her auburn hair cropped short against the nape of her neck, practical for the life she'd built far from here, teaching literature at a community college up in Portland, Oregon, or so Willow had pieced together from the occasional mutual friend's careless mention. "I'm an old friend of your mother's," Lark said, her southern drawl softened by years away but still carrying the lilt of Monroe's bayous. She set the satchel down by the sideboard, next to the silver candelabras Willow's late husband, Thomas, had insisted on for every holiday meal. Lark Monroe. And you must be Harper. I've heard. Well, bits and pieces." The room hung heavy with the weight of half-truths. Willow's mind raced back to that summer of '98, when they were both 18, sneaking out to the river's edge after church socials, their hands brushing under the cover of Spanish moss. Lark had been the bold one, daughter of the mill owner's widow, with dreams of escaping the town's suffocating piety for the wide-open West. Willow, raised in the shadow of her father's sawmill and her mother's unyielding expectations, had been the careful one, the girl who quoted Bible verses to quiet her own heart. Their love had bloomed fierce and fleeting, stolen moments in the heat of the afternoon, until Lark's abrupt departure for a scholarship in Seattle, followed by a letter Willow never sent, the one confessing she couldn't risk the scandal that would shatter her family's fragile honor. Now here was Lark, uninvited yet inevitable, as if the universe had conspired to dredge up the past just as Willow's carefully constructed life teetered on its final thread. Thomas had been gone 3 years now, taken by a heart attack in the mill he'd inherited from Willow's father, leaving her to raise Harper alone in this creaking house on Pecan Street. The town of Monroe, with its antebellum facades masking the rot of old prejudices, had whispered condolences in casseroles, but Willow knew the truth. They'd always eyed her with suspicion, the widow who never quite fit the mold of gracious Southern matron. And Harper, bright, artistic Harper, with her sketches of ethereal women and her quiet rebellion against the youth group at First Baptist, had been the light Willow clung to, the reason she'd buried her own truths deeper than the roots of the magnolia in the front yard. "Sit," Willow managed at last, her voice a threadbare whisper, gesturing to the empty chair at the table's end. The pie sat untouched, its crust flaking like old paint. Harper's eyes darted between them, sharp with the intuition of youth, piecing together fragments Willow had never voiced. "How do you know, Mom?" Harper pressed, leaning forward, her fork forgotten. Lark slid into the seat, her movements deliberate, as if testing the waters of a stream she remembered as safe but feared had turned treacherous. "We grew up together. Ran in the same circles back when this town felt smaller than it does now." Her gaze flicked to Willow, a silent question hanging there. Why didn't you ever reach out? Willow felt it like a hook in her chest, pulling at scars she told herself had healed. The conversation stuttered forward, awkward as a first rain after drought. Harper, emboldened by her own confession, steered it toward safer ground. Her acceptance letter to Tulane, the art exhibit she'd curated for the county fair, the way the humid air here choked her dreams of New York galleries. Lark listened with genuine warmth, her laughter low and resonant when Harper described a painting of two women dancing in a thunderstorm. Sounds like you've got fire in you, girl, Lark said. Don't let this place dim it. Willow watched them, the knot in her throat tightening with every shared glance. It was like seeing echoes of herself in Harper's defiance, and in Lark's easy empathy, the woman who'd once whispered poetry into her ear under starlit skies. But beneath the surface, the undercurrents pulled hard. Monroe wasn't Portland. Here, a girl's truth at the dinner table could ripple out to church pews and PTA meetings, turning whispers into weapons. Willow had seen it happen to others. The florist who'd been shunned after her divorce revealed more. The teacher who'd lost her job over a flagged social media post. She'd shielded Harper from that, or tried to, by modeling silence as strength. As the clock ticked past 8, Lark rose to leave, but not before pressing a card into Harper's hand. If you're ever up my way, look me up. Oregon's got skies that make you believe in second chances. Then to Willow, softer. We should talk. Really talk. Tomorrow if you're free. Coffee at the old depot. Willow nodded, the word escaping before she could cage it. Yes. After Lark slipped out into the night, the door clicking shut like a period at the end of a long overdue sentence, Harper turned to her mother, eyes wide. That wasn't just an old friend, was it? The question hung, and Willow felt the dam crack further. She reached for Harper's hand across the table, the warmth of her daughter's skin grounding her. No, sweetheart. She was everything once. The admission tasted like sweet tea left too long in the sun, bitter at the edges but alive with memory. That night, as Harper retreated to her room with sketches and a playlist of indie folk, Willow wandered the house like a ghost in her own life. The walls, papered in faded florals from Thomas's mother's era, seemed to lean in, whispering the catechism of duty she'd recited since girlhood. Family first, reputation sacred, desire silent. Upstairs, in the attic trunk where she'd stashed the remnants of her youth, a pressed wildflower from the riverbank, a faded photo of two girls arm in arm at the county fair, Willow traced the edges of the past. Lark's face smiled up at her, unlined by the regrets that now etched Willow's own. Sleep came, fitful dreams tangled with the scent of river mud and the press of lips in the dark. Dawn broke gray over Monroe, the Washita sluggish under a veil of mist. Willow dressed in her Sunday best, a simple blouse and skirt, armor against the town's appraising eyes, and drove to the old train depot, now a coffee shop called Bayou Brew, its tin roof rattling under the first patter of rain. Lark was already there, at a corner table by the window, two steaming mugs waiting. No pleasantries, no easing in. I came back from my mother's funeral, Lark said, stirring cream into her coffee. She passed last week. Pancreatic. Quick at least. The words landed blunt, and Willow murmured condolences, but Lark waved them off. That's not why I'm here talking to you. I saw your post on the alumni group about Thomas. I'm sorry. He seemed steady from what I heard. Steady. The word stung, a polite euphemism for the man who'd been kind enough, dutiful enough, but never the spark that lit Willow's veins. They'd met at a church picnic 2 years after Lark left, Thomas with his easy smile and promises of stability. Marriage had been a transaction of sorts. His family's land adjoining her father's mill, a union to preserve legacies. Harper had come soon after, a blessing Willow clung to through the quiet dissatisfactions. The nights she'd lie awake wondering what life might have been if she'd boarded that bus to Seattle with Lark. I read the obituary, Lark continued, her voice dropping. It mentioned Harper. Your daughter. She's the spitting image of you at that age, same fierce eyes. A pause, heavy as the humid air outside. And then I drove by your house yesterday on a whim. Saw the lights on, the car in the drive. Didn't mean to intrude on dinner. But when I heard her voice through the screen door. God, Willow. The timing. It's like fate's got a cruel sense of humor. Willow's fingers tightened around her mug, the heat seeping into her palms like a warning. Harper's brave. Braver than I ever was. The words slipped out, laced with the envy she'd never voiced. Lark's gaze sharpened, reading the undercurrent. You were brave once. That night by the river, when you said you'd leave it all behind. Lark leaned forward, the table between them a flimsy barrier. What happened? The letter I sent you never replied. I waited months hitchhiking halfway across the country before I stopped looking back. Guilt flooded Willow hot and unrelenting. The letter had arrived on a Tuesday, tucked into the mailbox like contraband, its Seattle postmark a siren call. She'd read it under the covers with a flashlight, Lark's words painting a future of rainy streets and shared apartments, free from the town's prying eyes. But her father had fallen ill that week, the mill teetering on bankruptcy, and duty had wrapped around her throat like kudzu. She'd burned the letter in the backyard fire pit, ashes scattering like her resolve. I was scared, she admitted now, the confession raw. Scared of what it would do to my family. To me. This town. It doesn't forgive difference. It buries it. Lark's expression softened, not with pity but understanding, the kind forged in their shared silences. I get it. I ran so far I almost convinced myself it was easy. But Portland's not paradise. It's just a different cage sometimes. Divorced now, no kids. Teaching kids like Harper though. Ones who come out in my classroom shaking but standing tall. Makes me wonder what we could have built. The rain picked up, drumming against the depot's windows like impatient fingers. Willow felt the pull, that old gravity drawing her toward Lark, toward the woman who'd known her before the masks, before the compromises. But Harper's face flashed in her mind, her daughter's hand in hers at the table, the trust she'd just begun to earn. What now? Willow whispered, the question a bridge or a breaking point. Lark reached across, her fingers brushing Willow's, electric as the first touch all those years ago. Now? We start where we left off. Or we don't. But don't let fear write the ending this time. They sat there as the morning unfolded, words spilling like the river after a flood, stories of lost years, of near misses and what-ifs. Lark spoke of the women who'd come and gone, none quite filling the space Willow had left. Willow confessed the hollowness of her marriage, the way Thomas's death had freed her even as it chained her to grief's routine. By the time they parted, the rain had eased to a drizzle, and Willow carried Lark's number in her phone like a talisman. Back home, Harper was in the kitchen, sketching at the island, charcoal smudging her fingers. You were gone a while, she said without looking up, but her tone held the weight of questions unasked. Willow hesitated, then pulled up a stool. Lark. She was my first love, Harper. Back when I was your age. We lost touch, but seeing her now, it's stirring things up. The admission felt like exhaling after holding breath too long. Harper set down her pencil, eyes meeting her mother's with a clarity that pierced. Does that mean you're like me? The question hung simple yet seismic. Willow nodded slowly, the truth blooming in her chest like the first crocus after winter. Yes, and I've spent half my life hiding it. But you don't have to. Mother and daughter sat in the quiet that followed, the kitchen clock ticking like a heartbeat sinking. Outside, Monroe slumbered under its veil of propriety, oblivious to the fractures forming. But in that moment Willow felt the first stirrings of release, a whisper of the freedom Lark had promised long ago. Yet as the day wore on, shadows lengthened. Thomas's sister, Aunt Beatrice, called with news of the church's upcoming fundraiser, her voice laced with the town's subtle probes. Heard you had company last night. Old flames die hard, don't they? Willow brushed it off, but the warning lingered. A reminder that truths unearthed here could unearth graves. The afternoon sun slanted through the lace curtains of the living room, casting patterns like fractured stained glass on the hardwood floor. Willow paced, phone in hand, Lark's text glowing on the screen. Dinner tonight? My hotel on the river. Just us. Her thumb hovered over reply, the cursor blinking like a dare. Harper had retreated to her room after their talk, door cracked just enough for the hum of her guitar to filter down. Soft chords of something by Phoebe Bridgers, lyrics about haunted houses and hearts that won't stay buried. Upstairs, Willow paused outside Harper's door listening. The music swelled, a lament for loves left in the margins, and she wondered if her daughter had inherited more than her eyes, perhaps the ache of secrets too heavy to carry alone. Pushing the door open gently, Willow found Harper cross-legged on the bed, notebook splayed open to a half-finished poem. In the bend of the bayou where willows weep for what was, I learned to swim against the current. It's beautiful, Willow said, settling on the edge of the mattress. Harper startled, then smiled faintly, closing the book. About coming out. Feels like drowning sometimes, but freeing too. Harper's gaze searched her mother's face. What about you and Lark? Are you going to see her again? The directness caught Willow off guard. A reminder of how swiftly the ground had shifted under them both. She asked me to dinner. I don't know if it's wise. Harper snorted softly, a sound so like her own younger self it tugged at Willow's heart. Wise? Mom, when has love ever been wise? You taught me to chase what lights me up. Why stop now? The words landed like grace unearned, and Willow pulled her daughter into a hug, breathing in the scent of charcoal and lavender shampoo. When did you get so smart? Genetics, Harper quipped, hugging back tight. Go. Live a little. I'll heat up leftovers. Emboldened, Willow texted back. Yes. 7 p.m. The drive to the riverfront and later that evening felt like crossing into another country, the town's neon-lit strip malls giving way to the dark ribbon of the Washita, its waters murmuring secrets to the willows lining the banks. The hotel loomed modest against the twilight, its balconies overlooking the bend where, as girls, they'd park stolen beers in the shallows and dream of horizons beyond cotton fields and revival tents. Lark waited in the lobby, casual in jeans and a linen shirt rolled to her elbows, a bottle of red in hand. Thought we'd picnic, she said, nodding toward the path leading to the river. Like old times minus the sneaking. They walked in companionable silence at first, the gravel crunching underfoot, fireflies beginning their lazy dance. At a secluded spot under a sprawling live oak, Lark spread a blanket, uncorking the wine with practiced ease. The air hummed with cicadas, thick with the perfume of night-blooming jasmine. As they ate cheese and figs from a Portland market, crusty bread from the depot, they talked, the years peeling away like onion skins. Lark recounted her escape. The Greyhound to Seattle, the dingy apartment shared with aspiring poets, the first woman who'd made her feel seen but not whole. I kept comparing them to you, she admitted, voice low. The way you'd laugh at my bad jokes, or how you'd trace constellations on my palm when we couldn't sleep. Willow listened, wine warming her veins, and shared her own fragments. The mill's endless grind, Thomas's gentle but distant affections, the nights she'd drive to the river alone, parking where they'd once met, just to feel the echo. Why now? Willow asked finally, as stars pricked the indigo sky. After all this time, why come back into my life? Lark set her glass down, turning to face her fully. Because Harper's announcement, eavesdropping, I know, but it hit me. That could have been us, Willow. Coming out together, facing it down. And because seeing you yesterday, it was like breathing after years underwater. She reached out, cupping Willow's cheek, thumb brushing the faint line at her jaw. The touch ignited something dormant, a spark to dry tinder. Their kiss came slow, tentative at first, then deepening with the urgency of reclaimed time. Willow tasted salt and sweetness on Lark's lips, felt the press of her body against the earth, solid and real. For those stolen minutes, the world narrowed to the river's lap and the rustle of leaves overhead, Monroe's judgments a distant thunder. But reality intruded with the trill of Willow's phone. Harper texting. Aunt Beatrice dropped by. Asking questions. Be careful. The spell shattered and they pulled apart, breaths ragged. This town's got long arms, Lark murmured, frustration etching her brow. Willow nodded, gathering the remnants of their meal. It's not just the town. It's me. I've built walls so high, I'm not sure I can climb them. Back at the inn, they lingered in the lobby, hands brushing goodbye. One day at a time, Lark said, pressing a keycard into Willow's palm. Stay. If you want. Temptation warred with duty, but Willow drove home instead. The empty road a mirror to her turmoil. Harper was waiting up, curled on the couch with a book of Southern Gothic tales. How was it? she asked, eyes bright with vicarious thrill. Like waking from a long sleep, Willow replied, sinking beside her. They talked late into the night, Harper sharing stories of her first crush. A girl from art class with freckles like constellations, Willow offering echoes of her own youth. It was amending, tentative and tender, mother and daughter weaving a new tapestry from frayed threads. The next morning brought the first real storm of reckoning. At the First Baptist coffee hour after service, Aunt Beatrice cornered Willow by the fellowship hall, her pearls clutched like rosary beads. Heard you had a visitor the other night. Lark Monroe? That family's got a reputation, wild blood they say. And with Harper's announcement? Tongues are wagging, Willow. Thomas would roll in his grave. The words sliced precise as a scalpel, exposing the raw underbelly of Monroe's hospitality. Willow's face burned, but she held her ground, voice steady. Thomas is gone, Beatrice. And Harper's truth isn't a scandal. It's her life. As for Lark, she's an old friend. Nothing more. Beatrice's eyes narrowed, lips pursing in that way that spoke volumes of inherited piety. Friends don't look at each other like that. Watch yourself. This town has standards. Willow left the hall with her head high, but the encounter festered, a poison seeping into her resolve. By afternoon she'd driven to the mill, now half hers, half leased to a conglomerate, its machinery humming like a dormant beast. In the office, surrounded by ledgers of debts and dreams deferred, she called Lark. I can't do this halfway. Meet me tonight. The river. Dusk found them there, blankets spread once more, but the air crackled with urgency. Words tumbled faster now, Lark's tales of queer book clubs in Oregon, Willow's fears of losing Harper to the same isolation she'd endured. As night deepened, their embrace turned fervent, clothes shed like old skins, bodies rediscovering rhythms long silenced. Under the willow's canopy, Willow felt alive, unmoored from the expectations that had anchored her to unhappiness. Yet dawn brought clarity's cruel light. Harper's school called, rumors swirling, a guidance counselor suggesting family counseling for adjustment issues. Willow hung up, rage simmering. This was the cost. Not just her heart, but her daughter's fragile wings. Lark arrived mid-morning, face drawn from a sleepless night. I heard. From a friend at the school board. Beatrice is doing, no doubt. Willow paced the kitchen, coffee gone cold. I won't let them hurt her. But us. It's stirring the pot. Lark stepped close, hands on Willow's shoulders. Then we face it together. Or we walk away clean. Your call. The choice loomed, a fork in the bayou's bend. Willow glanced at Harper's sketch on the fridge. Two figures, hand in hand, defying the storm. Together, she whispered. For her. For us. But as they planned, a quiet announcement at the next town council meeting, perhaps, or a move to Oregon, cracks appeared. Lark's phone buzzed. An ex calling from Portland, voicemail hinting at unfinished business. It's nothing, Lark assured, but doubt seated in Willow's chest, a whisper of betrayal's shadow. The town council chambers smelled of polished pine and stale coffee, the kind that had brewed too long in the urn by the podium. Folding chairs scraped against the linoleum as locals filed in for the monthly meeting, a ritual as predictable as the river's rise in spring. Willow sat in the back row with Harper to her left, Lark to her right, her presence a quiet statement, her hand occasionally brushing Willow's knee under the cover of darkness. The air hummed with murmurs, eyes flicking their way like fireflies drawn to an unnatural flame. Mayor Ellis, a barrel-chested man with a mustache like a broom bristle, called the session to order. Agendas dragged. Zoning disputes over a new strip mall, funding for the levee repairs after last flood. Willow's pulse thrummed, each tick of the wall clock amplifying the knot in her gut. This wasn't impulse. They'd rehearsed it over late-night talks at the river. Words honed sharp as Willow switches. Harper had insisted on speaking too. Her voice the clarion that would cut through the fog of propriety. When public comments opened, Willow rose, smoothing her blouse with hands that betrayed a slight tremble. Faces turned, neighbors she'd known since cradle days. The mill foreman's wife who'd brought pies after Thomas's funeral, Beatrice in the front row, posture rigid as a headstone. Thank you, Mayor, Willow began, voice carrying clear over the hush. I'm Willow Hargrove. Most of you know me from the mill, from church, from raising my girl here in Monroe. But there's more to me than that. More I've kept hidden, not out of shame but survival. A ripple stirred whispers like wind through cane. She glanced at Harper, who nodded, eyes fierce. Like my daughter, I'm gay. Have been since I was her age, stealing moments by the Washita with the woman who's become my partner again after all these years. She gestured to Lark, who stood then, chin lifted, green eyes scanning the room without flinching. Lark Monroe isn't a ghost from the past, she's my present. And we're here to say we're not hiding anymore. The silence that followed was thick, broken only by a cough from the back. Then Beatrice's voice, sharp as shattered glass. This is a God-fearing town, Willow. You think parading this deviance honors your husband's memory? Or your father's legacy? Murmurs swelled into a low roar, chairs shifting as opinions jostled. Mayor Ellis banged his gavel, face flushed. Order, folks. This ain't the place for sermons. But Willow felt the tide turning, the weight of judgment pressing like humidity before a squall. Harper stood next, small but unyielding. My mom's braver than anyone here. She raised me to be honest even when it hurts. If that's not Christian charity, I don't know what is. Her words landed soft but sure, and for a heartbeat Willow saw pride flicker in strangers' eyes. The librarian who'd stocked Harper's favorite novels, the diner waitress who'd slipped her extra beignet. Yet the backlash brewed swift. As the meeting adjourned, a cluster formed around Beatrice, nodding fervent agreement. Think of the children, one muttered. Mill's already struggling. Folks won't shop from a place like that. Willow and Lark ushered Harper out, the girl's hand clammy in hers, but outside under the sodium lamps of the parking lot, a lone voice called, Good on you, Willow. Took guts. Sleep that night was fractured, dreams of drowning in the river's murk, Lark's hand slipping from hers. Morning brought the first salvos, emails from the church board, prayer requests laced with concern, a petition circulating at the Piggly Wiggly for family values zoning. The mill's phone rang off the hook, loyal workers vowing support, but suppliers hedging, one canceling a lumber order with a curt, personal reasons. Lark paced the kitchen, phone to ear, arguing with her Portland ex, Vivian, a gallery owner whose texts Willow had glimpsed, affectionate barbs about your southern detour. It's over, Viv, Lark snapped, hanging up. But the call lingered, a specter. She won't let go easy. Thinks this is a phase. Jealousy twisted in Willow's gut. Unfamiliar and sharp. Is it? The question escaped, laced with the old fears of being second choice. A nostalgic Lark in Lark's varied life. Lark's face fell, hurt flashing. No. God, Willow, you're it. Always were. She closed the distance, kiss fierce with reassurance, but the seed of doubt took root, watered by the town's siege. Harper bore the brunt at school, whispers trailing her in the halls, a crude note in her locker, Dyke Spawn. She came home silent, sketching furious strokes of storm clouds and breaking levees. Willow held her as sobs came, rocking like she had through childhood fevers. They'll tire of it, she murmured, but doubt gnawed. Had she unleashed this for her own selfish thaw? Desperate for air, Willow drove to the mill alone, the machinery's roar a balm to her chaos. In the break room, old Mr. Thibodeau, who'd worked under her father, cornered her. Heard the talk. Don't let 'em run you out, missus. This town's changing, slow as molasses, but it is. His gruff solidarity cracked her facade, tears spilling as she confessed the weight. That evening, Lark arrived with takeout from the Delta Cafe, crawfish étouffée, comfort in a foil container. They ate on the porch swing, Harper joining with tentative smiles, the three of them a fragile unit against the encroaching dusk. Stories flowed. Lark reading from a dog-eared copy of The Price of Salt, Harper laughing at the outdated lingo, Willow feeling the stirrings of family redefined. But betrayal's blade fell swift. Vivian arrived unannounced 2 days later, rental car crunching gravel in the drive, her city polish clashing with Monroe's dust. Tall, with a bob of silver-streaked hair and eyes like smoked quartz, she breezed in bearing a bottle of Pinot and a smile too bright. Just passing through, she lied smoothly, hugging Lark a beat too long. Harper eyed her warily from the stairs, sensing the intrusion. Dinner turned interrogation. Vivian's questions probing like divining rods. So Willow, Lark's told me all about your wild youth. River romps and rebellion charming. Her tone dripped condescension, and Willow bristled, the undercurrent clear. You're the quaint relic. Lark shifted uncomfortably, but Vivian pressed, recounting shared trips to the coast. Inside jokes Willow couldn't touch. We were good together, Vivian said, hand on Lark's arm. Still could be. The air thickened, Harper excusing herself with a muttered good night. Willow stood, voice steel. This isn't a visit, is it? You're here to stake claim. Vivian laughed, sharp. Claim? Darling, life's not a harlequin. Lark's always had a savior complex. Rescuing strays. But Portland's real. This. She gestured at the room, the peeling wallpaper. It's a postcard, not a home. Lark exploded then, voice rising. Enough, Viv. I chose this. Chose her. But the damage seeped, Vivian's words echoing Willow's deepest fears. That she was the past, not the future. Vivian left in a huff, tires spinning mud, but the rift lingered. That night, as thunder rumbled distant, Willow confronted Lark in the guest room. Is she right? Am I holding you back? Lark pulled her close, whispers fervent. No. You're the reason I stayed. Their lovemaking was urgent, a reclaiming, but dawn brought no ease, only the echo of Vivian's parting shot. She'll break your heart again. Small towns do that. The mill faltered next, a major client pulling out, citing community concerns. Workers whispered of strikes, loyalties fracturing. Beatrice escalated, rallying the churchwomen for a boycott, flyers tacked to telephone poles. Protect our heritage. Harper's sketches turned darker, self-portraits with eyes shadowed by thorns. In the eye of the storm, Willow found solace in small acts, driving Harper to a secret LGBTQ youth meetup in Shreveport, where girls like her shared stories under rainbow banners. Lark joined, her presence a shield, and in the rearview Willow caught them laughing, a bond forming that mended her own fractures. Yet the pressure mounted, a crescendo building to shatter. One evening, as they walked the river path, Lark's phone lit with Vivian's name again. She silenced it, but Willow saw the hesitation. Tell me everything, she demanded, stopping under the willows. Lark sighed, the truth spilling. Vivian's recent proposal, half joking but laced with longing. The life they'd built, comfortable if not consuming. I turned her down. But part of me wonders if I'm chasing a ghost. The words wounded deeper than any town's scorn. Betrayal not in action but admission. Willow stepped back, the river's rush mocking her. Am I the ghost, Lark? Or are we both just echoes? They parted that night fractured, Lark to her hotel, Willow to an empty bed. Harper found her at dawn, curled on the porch, eyes red-rimmed. Fight for it, Mom. Or let it go. But don't let fear win. Wisdom from the young, a torch passed. Willow nodded, resolve hardening like clay in the sun. The Washita swelled with autumn rains, its banks muddy and unforgiving, mirroring the churn in Willow's soul. Days blurred into a siege. The mill's ledger bled red, workers crossing picket lines erected not by labor but by legacy. Beatrice's faithful waving signs of scripture-twisted spite. Willow manned the office phone, voice a veneer of calm as she fielded calls, some venomous, others veiled sympathy that cut deeper. Praying for you, dear, one elder said. And for that poor girl's soul. Harper armored herself with art, her bedroom a sanctuary of canvases splashed with defiant colors, crimson rivers, sapphire skies unbroken by clouds. But Willow saw the toll. The way her daughter flinched at slammed lockers, the late-night scrolls through anonymous hate on social feeds. They're just scared, Harper would say, echoing Willow's own mantra from youth, but the words rang hollow now, eroded by repetition. Lark kept distance at first, texts apologetic. Need space to sort my head. Willow granted it, burying hurt in routine morning runs along the levee, where the wind whipped secrets from the willows. Evenings cooking gumbo with Harper, stirring roux as therapy, the sizzle a symphony of survival. Yet absence amplified the ache, Vivian's shadow looming in every unanswered call, every glimpse of auburn hair in town that wasn't Lark's. The breaking point came midweek, under a sky bruised purple. Willow locked the mill early, driving to the hotel with purpose forged in sleepless hours. The lobby clerk nodded knowingly as she asked for Lark's room. The elevators hum a countdown to confrontation. Knocking, Willow braced, heart hammering like the old steam press in the mill's basement. Lark opened in sweatpants and a faded college tee, surprise softening to sorrow. "Willow, come in." The room smelled of takeout, lo mein and regret, bed unmade, suitcase half-packed by the window overlooking the turbulent river. They stood awkward at first, words damned. Then Willow unleashed. "You said together. But you're pulling away, Lark. If Vivian's the future, say it. Let me go clean." Lark sank onto the bed, head in hands. "It's not her. It's us, the mess we're in. I called Viv last night, told her definitively no. But hearing about the boycotts, the threats to Harper, I feel like I'm dragging you under." Relief warred with fury in Willow's chest. "You think I can't swim? I've been treading this water my whole life. For my father, for Thomas, for this damn town. Don't decide for me." Lark looked up, eyes glistening. "I know your strength. That's what scares me. You're unbreakable, Willow, but I don't want to be the crack that shatters you." The admission cracked something in Willow, tears spilling hot. She knelt before Lark, hands framing her face. "Then don't run. Stay and fight. With me." Their kiss was salt-streaked, desperate. A vow renewed in the dim lamplight. Clothes fell away, bodies entwining with the fervor of the storm outside. Thunder punctuating gasps. Rain lashing windows like applause. In the afterglow, tangled sheets and whispered plans, they mapped a path. Sell the mill stake. Relocate to Oregon come spring. Build a life where love wasn't contraband. But betrayal's tendrils reached further than Vivian's jealousy. The next morning, as Willow dressed in the hotel bathroom, Lark's phone buzzed insistent. A text from Beatrice, of all people. "Ask your lover about the letter she wrote your husband. Before you pack your bags." Willow froze, steam fogging the mirror. "What letter?" she asked, emerging voice-edged. Lark paled, snatching the phone. "It's nothing. Old gossip." But Willow's gut twisted, the river's murk rising. "Show me." Reluctant, Lark handed it over. The message linked to a scanned envelope, postmarked Portland, 2018, 3 years before Thomas's death. Addressed to him in Lark's script, "For Willow's sake." Heart-pounding, Willow drove home alone, Lark's pleas echoing unanswered. In the attic, she rifled Thomas's old desk, finding the envelope tucked behind tax files, unopened. Her hands shook as she slid it, words blurring through tears. "Thomas, I know this is forward, but I've followed Willow's life from afar. She's trapped in a role that doesn't fit. And if you love her, let her go. She's always been more than this town allows, wild like the river she loves. Don't clip her wings." Lark. Rage bloomed, hot and blinding. Not just the intrusion, but the implication. That Thomas had known, endured in silence, perhaps even agreed in his quiet way. Willow stormed the church that afternoon. Beatrice in the garden weeding roses, shears snipping precise. "You sent that." Willow thrust the printout forward, voice thunder. Beatrice straightened, unrepentant. "Found it in his things after the funeral. Thought you deserved to know your friend's meddling. She tried to poison your marriage." "It wasn't poison," Willow spat. "It was truth. Something you wouldn't recognize." Beatrice's face hardened, shears glinting. "Truth? You're destroying everything Thomas built. The mill, the family name. For what? A midlife fancy." The words ignited Willow's fury. "Thomas built nothing without my sweat. And Harper? She's not destruction, she's hope." She turned on heel, leaving Beatrice amid her thorns. Confronting Lark that evening brought no solace. At the river, blanket sodden from recent rains, Willow hurled accusations. "You wrote to my husband? Played savior behind my back." Lark recoiled, then defended fierce. "I was desperate. Heard through the grapevine he was ill, that you were crumbling. Thought if he knew, he might release you." "Release me?" Willow laughed bitter. "I wasn't a prisoner. And you decided that for us without a word to me." Hurt flashed in Lark's eyes. "I was wrong. But I cared, still do." The admission hung, but trust frayed like old rope. Willow walked away, the river's roar drowning her sobs. Home, Harper waited with cocoa and concern. What happened? Betrayal, Willow whispered, collapsing into her arms. From the one place I thought safe. Harper held her, stroking hair like Willow had done for her. Then rebuild. Stronger. The week devolved into isolation. Willow shuttered the mill temporarily, citing renovations, though whispers called it ruin. Lark sent flowers, wild river lilies, but Willow let them wilt on the porch. Vivian circled back. A venomous email to Lark copied to Willow. See? Told you she'd bolt. Come home where you belong. The final snap came at Harper's art show, a county fair pavilion strung with lights, her pieces displayed on easels. Bayou Confessions, a series of women emerging from shadows, hands outstretched. The crowd milled polite, but Beatrice's faction lurked, murmuring critiques veiled as concern. Artistic license gone too far, one clucked. Harper shone, though, chatting with a scout from Baton Rouge, her pride a beacon. Willow watched from the sidelines, heart swelling, until Lark arrived uninvited, weaving through the throng with purpose. Vivian trailed her, arm-linked, a deliberate provocation. The sight gutted Willow, confirmation of fears. She slipped out, breath ragged, driving aimless until the river called. Parking at their spot, she waded in to her knees, water cold as regret, the current tugging like accusations. Lark found her there, alone, Vivian's car absent. She came on her own, Lark explained, wading in, skirt hem dark with wet. Tried to win me back. I told her to leave for good. Willow turned, tears mingling with spray. Why should I believe you? After the letter, the doubts. Because I love you, Lark said, simple, fierce. Enough to risk everything. And because Harper needs us whole. Mention of her daughter pierced, grounding. Willow stepped closer, the water swirling between. Prove it. Stay through the fire. Lark nodded, hands finding Willow's waist. I will. Their kiss tasted of mud and renewal, the river bearing witness. But as they emerged, dripping and determined, headlights swept the bank. Beatrice, flanked by two deacons, Bibles in hand like talismans. A moral display, she intoned. We're filing for emergency custody review on Harper. Unfit environment. The threat landed like a levee breach, flooding Willow's world. Screams echoed into the night, accusations flying, until sheriff's lights flashed distant. Chaos reigned, but in the melee Willow clutched Lark's hand, Harper's voice cutting through from the arriving car. Leave her alone. The standoff ended in warnings, no arrests, small-town politics hedging. But the petition surged, signatures mounting for Harper's protection. Willow's world narrowed to legal briefs and lawyer calls, the mill's fate secondary to safeguarding her child. In the dim office of attorney Marlene Voss, a no-nonsense Shreveport litigator with a rainbow pin on her lapel, Willow and Lark sat shoulder to shoulder, Harper doodling in the corner. They've got no grounds, Marlene assured. But it'll drag. Prove stability, your relationship, the home. Stability. The word mocked as Vivian's final gambit landed. A leaked email chain to the local paper. Lark's old love letters to her painted as predatory grooming. The headline screamed, Widow's Scandal. Past catches up. Betrayal complete, Willow confronted the abyss. Alone in the attic that night, Thomas's letter in hand, she wept for the man who'd loved quietly, perhaps known all along. Forgive me, she whispered to his photo. Dawn brought resolve. Gathering Harper and Lark, Willow declared, We fight. Not with words, with lives lived loud. The courtroom in Washita Parish smelled of varnish and vendettas, wooden benches worn smooth by decades of disputes over land and legacies. Willow sat ramrod straight in the gallery, Harper beside her, Lark's hand a steady anchor on her knee. The judge, a silver-haired woman named Harlan with crow's feet from squinting at fine print, peered over spectacles at the petitioners. Beatrice and a cadre of church elders, their faces pious masks over righteous fury. Guardianship review, Judge Harlan intoned, gavel a punctuation. Based on allegations of moral turpitude endangering the minor, Harper Hargrove. Beatrice took the stand first, voice quavering just enough for sympathy. Willow's always been headstrong, Your Honor. But this, parading her lifestyle, exposing my niece to scandal, it's unfit. Thomas would agree. Exhibits followed. The petition with 200 signatures, Vivian's leaked emails anonymized but damning. Photos grainy from the riverbank. Shadows suggesting sin. Willow's lawyer Marlene cross-examined with surgical precision. Miss Hargrove, you mentioned Thomas. Did he ever express concerns about Willow's parenting? Beatrice faltered. Well, no, but... And these signatures coerced at church, I presume? No evidence of actual harm to Harper. The elder squirmed, foundation cracking. Then Harper testified, 17 but poised as a professor. Aunt Beatrice means well, but she doesn't know me. Mom's taught me to be kind, to stand up. Lark. She's family now, shows me books about real lives, not fairy tales. Her voice held, but Willow saw the tremor. The cost of bearing soul in fluorescent glare. Lark spoke next, unflinching under scrutiny. I love Willow. Always have. And Harper. She's got a light that deserves nurturing, not snuffing. Vivian's shadow loomed via deposition, her words venom. Lark's unstable, chasing nostalgia. But Marlene dismantled it, exposing the ex's bias, the timing of leaks as spurned revenge. Willow's turn came last, heart pounding as she approached the stand. I buried parts of myself to fit this town, she began, voice steady. Married good, raised my girl right. But hiding hurt us all. Thomas, he knew in the end. His last words. Be happy, Willow. That's what I'm doing now. For Harper. For me. The room held breath, Judge Harlan's pin-scratching notes. Recess brought whispers, Beatrice's faction huddling like storm clouds. In the hall, Harper hugged Willow fierce. You were amazing. Lark pulled her aside, kiss quick but deep. Proud of you. Verdict came swift post-lunch. Petition denied. No credible threat to the child's welfare. Cheers erupted soft from supporters, mill workers, art friends, while Beatrice stormed out, face ashen. Victory tasted bittersweet. The war not won but a battle claimed. Outside, rain slicked the steps, sky clearing to fractured blue. Media vans idled, local news sniffing scandal, but Willow waved them off. Private matter, Marlene buffered. Driving home, windows down, wind whipping curls, they sang off-key to the radio. An old Lucinda Williams tune about car wheels on gravel roads, hearts unbound. The mill reopened to tentative normalcy, boycotts fizzling as fresh bread and fair wages outweighed fervor. Workers trickled back, Mr. Thibodeau slapping Willow's shoulder. Knew you'd weather it. But scars lingered. Empty pews at church, Beatrice's silence, a cold shoulder turned permanent. Vivian's final act was deletion. Emails retracted, a curt apology to Lark via courier, envelope stuffed with airline tickets to Portland, unused. Burn them, Lark said, and they did, flames dancing in the backyard pit, ashes scattering like old sins. With winter's chill creeping, plans solidified. List the house come spring, Willow's mill share sold to a co-op of locals, preserving jobs without her chains. Oregon beckoned. Lark's cottage on a fur-lined street. Community college nearby for Harper's gap year art courses. New bayous, Harper joked, sketching maps of imagined rivers. Yet doubts nipped at heels. One night, as snow dusted Monroe rare and fleeting, Willow woke to Lark's murmurings, dream talk of Vivian's laugh, the city's hum. Just echoes, Lark soothed when roused, but Willow lay awake, staring at ceiling cracks like fault lines. The true climax brewed not in court but hearth. Christmas Eve, the house aglow with thrift store lights, pine scent mingling with cornbread dressing. Harper strung garland, humming carols twisted queer. Oh come, oh ye faithful to a dyke folk beat. Lark arrived with gifts. Leather-bound journals for Harper, a locket for Willow engraved riverbound. Dinner unfolded warm. Turkey from the farm co-op, stories swapped like ornaments. But mid-bite, the doorbell chimed, insistent. Willow opened to Beatrice, drenched from sleet, Bible clutched but eyes hollow. I was wrong, she stammered, voice breaking. Thomas visited me before he died. Told me to look after you both. Said you were the strongest soul he knew. I failed him. Failed you. The confession stunned. A humanizing of the villain. Willow stepped aside, ushering her in. Awkward at first, then thawing. Beatrice admiring Harper's tree sketch, accepting a plate with trembling hands. I don't understand. All of it, she admitted to Willow by the fire. But blood's thicker. And love real love bends doesn't break. Tears shared, a fragile bridge built. Beatrice left with a hug for Harper. Promise of coffee sand sermons. The room sighed relief, but Willow felt the weight lift. A cornerstone shifted. Later, as embers glowed, Lark and Willow slipped to the porch, sleet tapping roof like Morse code. You gave her grace, Lark said, arms around waist. Like you gave me truth, Willow replied. Their kiss deepened, bodies pressing close against chill, passion reigniting slow and sure. Inside, Harper's guitar strummed soft, a lullaby for mending. But the night's peace shattered with a call, mill foreman voice urgent. Fire, ma'am. Arson suspected. Someone torched the storage shed. Racing through dark, sirens wailing, they arrived to flames licking skyward, water arcs hissing steam. No injuries but inventory lost, thousands in lumber. The co-op deal teetering. Investigators murmured motives, eyes sliding to Beatrice's ilk, though proof elusive. Dawn found them ash-streaked, Harper bandaging a minor burn on Willow's hand from debris. They won't stop, she whispered, fear cracking her bravado. Lark's jaw set. Then we rise from it. Like the phoenix in your sketches. The fire became catalyst, town dividing sharper. Fundraisers from allies, insurance claims tangled by prejudice. Vivian's ghost resurfaced in a final petty email. Karma's a bitch. Lark blocked her, but the wound festered, trust's fragile rebuild tested. In the blaze's aftermath, Willow confronted her core. The maw between duty and desire, society's vice on the queer heart. Alone by the smoldering ruins, she screamed into wind, rage purging fear. Returning home, she gathered them, Harper, Lark, declaring, we leave sooner. January. No more waiting. Exile loomed, but freedom's edge gleamed. Packing commenced amid tears and laughter. Boxes labeled memories future. Beatrice appeared unbidden, check in hand. For the mill. From the ladies' auxiliary. No strings. Acceptance came halting, but Willow took it. A step toward reconciliation. As snow melted to mud, the house emptied, echoes fading. The final drive out of Monroe, U-Haul trailing, river glinting, farewell. Harper snapped a photo. 3 women, hands linked over console, Willow's bowing in rearview. To new currents, she toasted with thermos coffee. Portland's rain welcomed. Lark's cottage a haven of bookshelves and bay windows. Harper enrolled in workshops, her art blooming in galleries that celebrated rather than censored. Willow found work at a sustainable lumber co-op, hands callous but heart light. Months in, a letter arrived, Beatrice's script. Harper's exhibit made the Monroe Gazette. Proud of her. Of you. Visit when ready. Healing Slow River. One evening, as cherry blossoms dusted the yard, Willow and Lark walked a path by the Willamette. Echoes of Washita in its flow. Worth it? Lark asked, fingers laced. Every drowned sorrow, Willow replied. Their love once forbidden, now rooted deep. Kisses unhurried, nights woven with dreams shared. Harper from the porch called, dinner's ready. Gumbo, mom's recipe, but with Portland spice. Laughter rose, a chorus against old silences. In the heart's quiet bayou they'd found their bend, free, fierce, forever entwined.